everybody, Water Element Wisdom here. It is Monday, March 6, 2017, about 10:35 p.m. I had a pretty productive day today, oddly enough, on a Monday. Both in work and some other going-ons. More on that later. But you didn't know by the title. See if you can come up with what we're doing. Got an odd assortment here. We've got two water element characters, a life element character. What do they all have in common? Let's see. Kingpin's a brawler. That means Dark Kingpin is a brawler. And Crash Bandicoot is a brawler. Are there any other brawlers? The answer is yes. Grave Clobber. Now, I will tell you right now, it's very hard for me not to say Grave Clobber or putting together, because that just seems to flow more naturally, even though it's awkward to say. Hard to explain, but if you start pronouncing his name, you'll probably wind up with the same conclusion. Nonetheless, what we've got a situation where we've got essentially 3 Skylanders that have dropped recently. We've got the Easter editions, I guess, Egg Bomber Airstrike and Hard Boiled Flare Wolf. I have seen both. They look pretty good. I kind of like the color palette, I believe, on Airstrike a little bit better. I saw him at Target and Toys R Us. Hard-boiled Flare Wolf, I did not see at Target, but I saw at Toys R Us. Currently, there are not any sales I know of, and subsequently that means I didn't buy them. The reason that I went ahead and picked up Grave Clobber, kind of afraid if there's like a switch rush on Imaginators as people try to pick up more games or something. He could go, he could also be limited quantities, and he was there. And, truth be told, he would be the odd man out unless the fact of the matter is the chances of me getting like 3 for 30 at Target and all 3 of those characters being present are very slim. GameStop typically wouldn't have one of the characters you would need, and so to save myself trouble in the long run, went ahead full price for Grave Clobber at Toys R Us, $15.99. And then later on down the line, whatever retailer it may be, if they've got both of the Easter characters, pick them up, BOGO 40, 50%, 2 for 20, whatever it may be. You've got to realize there will be the usual sales coming up soon again. I think right now, with the Switch just launching, it's kind of like, hey, let's not slice the prices too much. Let's see what we can move at full price type of a thing. And it could just be the weekly flow. I haven't really been keeping up with Toys R Us's sales, or Target's for that matter. Although I will tell you, Target's Toys R Us's buy one get one 40% on all games is over today. I think it was extended one day for Rewards R Us members. I guess you could still technically get it, but not by the time you see this. Target has a buy 2 get 1 free going. Of course, it excludes the Nintendo Switch. For most people, that's not too big of a deal. So if you've been holding off, maybe getting a second starter pack, or there's some other games you're looking to pick up, maybe some older Skylander games, not too bad of a deal. That is, best I remember, is Target's best sale in terms of software titles. So that said, this is Grave Clobber. As referenced, he is a water element character and a brawler. Interesting note, yes, we have 2 water element brawlers, which is kind of unique, but aside from the fact that he was previously earth element, yada yada, this is not the end of the water element. We still have Tide Pool coming at an unknown date and time, hopefully with their own adventure pack. You gotta keep your fingers crossed there. And as a brawler, this is the final brawler, at least unless they do something unexpected later on down the road. So, Kingpin, Crash, and Grave Clobber, this is it. This is your brawler segment. So we've got all of them. All access is granted. Go about your business. I've got to say, his figure looks awesome. That is sort of very, very close, at least in the packaging, to my Legendary Blue when I do custom painted Skylanders. But his artwork, I'm a real big fan of that shot right there. As you can see, Sensei Skylander. We got the top box coming around here to the backside in your hand or floating in space on the portal into the game. It is that simple. Grave Clobber, I'll just go ahead and flow it out there. Sensei Skylanders unleash almighty Sky Chi. Unlock unique gear and weapons for your Imaginator Skylanders. Again, pretty cool. If you recall, in Trap Team, he was a pretty menacing guy. Sort of like the Golden Queen summons them, sort of like, hey, things aren't going well, I'll call my ace in the hole, throwing it all down right now, all the chips on the table. And of course, if you're a great Portal Master, which I'm sure you are, you defeated Grave Clobber. He has, hey, that's new. I've not seen Skylanders Academy advertised before. If you wonder why I don't talk much about Skylanders Academy, I don't have Netflix. So, there you go. Not really a movie person. I guess it's a lot of TV shows too. Truth be told, outside of like the NFL and NBA and a couple of shows here and there, I don't really do much TV. I would prefer to live life outside or play a game. Also featured Bad Juju, Master Flarewolf, Master Buckshot. Again, I've not found him. Toys R Us, I think, had him, but again, no sale. I'm not going to throw down full price to make Heartbreaker Buckshot, but it's still something kind of on my agenda. So, with that said, let's go ahead. I have cut the tape. We've got tape here and here. His slogan, "A watery grave awaits." Say that in a very cool mummy voice, if you will. Come on. Let me down, fingernails. All right. So, as always, the packaging on these is phenomenal. The color, basically water elements. You've got blue. You can see the water element logo right there. That is actually cascaded throughout the entire array of the packaging, which is extremely underappreciated in my opinion. And then just color coordinating everything. It is a very, very cool presentation, I must say. Alright, stock there was not too bad. I also tweeted a picture. I didn't realize it was blurry until I tweeted it. But Nightmare, she was on the rack in decent quantities. There was one fist bump. So there are, from time to time, you can find new in box. Not used, not resale, but new in box if you missed out on any of them. Always just kind of keep an eye out. Frequent your stores from time to time as time allows. That said, what I like to do, break it down there at the 45. Right here, the bottom has the same 45-degree angle. I always like to scout how the Skylander's held in the packaging. In his case, you're going to notice the arms, but also the head is kind of nestled in there. Obviously, he's sort of got like the, gym rat build, if you will. Very bulky chest. He obviously doesn't miss chest day, works the buys and tries. And then he's just got the puny little head there. So, that said, in some cases, yeah, and this appears to be the similar situation, when they're packed really tight like that, it's oftentimes best to just work the base loose, and then they will typically be fairly easy to free, and that's the case. Now, recent trends have been licking your Switch cartridge, so let's see if Skylanders have a bad taste. No, I'm not that stupid. It's one of those things, there's like that commercial with the raccoons, and one of them, they're out in the dumpster, they've turned it over, and one of the raccoons eats something. He's like, "Oh, this is so gross, you've got to try it." It's one of those deals, just human nature. It's like, if you try something horrible, you want someone else to try it so they can agree and talk about how horrible it is. I don't really need to lick a Switch cartridge to know it's going to taste nasty. I have no desire to lick a Switch cartridge. They can make it taste like cinnamon and sugar, and I'm not going to lick a Switch cartridge. So same thing here, but a lot of you do like to keep tabs on the paint smells. I didn't smell anything too strong, but hey, that's just me. First thing you got to admit, this is a super fantastically well done figure. The coloration on this, I think you can see it fairly well, particularly with the pool table as the backdrop. It's not just the metallic blue, it's very close to the One of Wiisdom Legendary Blue, if you've watched my custom paint in Skylanders. It's not just that, obviously red and blue complementary colors, if you did not know. But it's just the typical wrap that you would think, of a mummy, mummification process, if you will. And I say that because it's not just like a bright white, or they went with like, oh, let's weather some linen or something, make it yellow. It's got, it's weird to say this, but it's an authentic sort of aged look. This is almost like if, we bust into a pyramid and we kick down the door, and not realizing it's a power plant or something like that, ancient aliens. We come in and you literally throw the covers off. There's a mummified body. It's not going to be crystal clear. Like if you buy new socks today, you know how they're like super white. If you get white socks, some people go black or get prints, whatever. But let's say you get white socks, prototypical sock. 6 months down the line, they're not going to look that white. Okay, even if your parents bleach them or you bleach them or whatever, If you've worn them any period of time and washed them and worn them and washed them, even just the aging process, they're going to lose their luster, their brilliant white shine, if you will. You're going to have them yellowed and browned and worn and thin in places. That is actually, and again, I do believe you can see it, it's obviously going to be more impressive in person, particularly out of the packaging. I know a lot of people keep Skylanders in the box. If you pull him out, you can appreciate it even more without the glare off of the plastic viewing window. But it honestly conveys what I would dubbed an aged and weathered linen look. So bravo on that regard. There's our Water Element logo. White stamp. Still haven't seen another yellow one. It's Water Element base is very cool. Number one, I love the blue, but number two, I like how the tide sort of parts. You know, you've got this side flowing east, this side flowing west, if you will. And then, of course, it conveys in the middle, sort of a meetup if you are into that sort of a thing. But looking at the figure, pretty nice detail pass in. I mean, he's a mummy. There's only so much we can do. You've sort of got like the... it's almost like a hieroglyphic and ancient symbolic type of a design on his cuffs here. Clearly as a brawler, and if you recall from Trap Team, he's just sort of got the big fist, right? He's coming in and he's ready to brawl as is. So pretty impressive, I have to say. Just simple detail, again, straightforward, no weaponry, anything like that. It's just, hey, he's got huge fists, and he's gonna faceplant one right in the kisser. So facially, the white is a really good contrast. Now it looks better in the camera than it does as I look to the side. The eyes, in my opinion, are a brighter, more glossy white. And the way I would describe the teeth aren't necessarily gray, but maybe the eye got like 3 coats of paint and the teeth got 2 coats. That was probably intentional, sort of, you know, you typically with Skylanders, the eyes pop a little bit more. In particular, for reference points, here on the packaging, you can see the eyes, they're like a stark, glossy white, they pop out. And the teeth are almost like a steel gray, a blue or a gray hybrid, if you will. They're more white on the figure, but they're not near as white as the eyes. I know they kind of look like they are, but in hand, without the lighting, I think you would concur with what I have spoken. His tunic or garb or cloak or whatever ancient Egyptian stuff you would dub this, it's kind of like a... I want to say it was probably originally a very vibrant red, and again, just age and tied in with his background story, which we're about to hear. It's sort of faded over time, if you will. You go out, if somebody bought a new Chevy truck in 1998 or something, and they're still driving it, and it sits outside, not outside, and it's just course of nature. You know, the sun hits down on it, you know, wash jobs, whatever it may be, weathering over time. Number one, aside from rusting because it's a Chevy, it's going to be a situation where the red has faded. It's not going to have the luster that it once had. I kind of feel like that's the case here. And again, in camera, this is actually, it's kind of a flashy red. When I put myself to the side of the camera, it's much more of like a, I want to say we're working with like a maroon and a burgundy color palette. This obviously being a little bit lighter, but in this angle and in the camera, this is almost more of like a conventional like fire engine red. Not the case when it's in hand out of the lighting. Again, I don't know why it's kind of playing tricks on us, but it has a very aged, weathered look. The textures here, very cool. We've seen that pattern before, but I'm not going to complain too much because it looks fantastic here. It's mimicked on the tunic, spinning it around again. Just the aged and weathered look here. He's got sort of the vibe. If you were to just look at this guy, you'd be like, oh, you know, you'd be drawn in by the blue, and then you're like, wait. That's a mummy, right? He would have an undead look. If you didn't see this base, like if it was just covered up, no colors were there, you would assume this is an undead character. If you just had a general rough knowledge of Skylanders, you're going to be like, oh, hey, I think that's a mummy. Must be undead. And of course, he was originally portrayed as an Earth villain back in Trap Team. He's made the switch to the water element. Some of you might be salty about that, sort of like I still... don't quite agree with Bad Juju, switching over from sorcerer to a swashbuckler, but I will tell you this right now. Grave Clobber's slogan, a watery grave awaits. Let's hear him say it himself. I think they did a good job. It's insanely menacing. It's very low. Got a lot of depth to it. I think it fits the figure very well. Excluding what we've seen in the past, this is a situation where if this is your first exposure to him, I don't think you'd have any issues with that. Alright, his power. Again, these stats will not correlate into the game, but they are here. So 320 out of 350. Armor, defense, 350 out of 350. Fantastic. Prototypical Earth Element carryover there, I must say. Speed or agility, as you would expect, not that flashy, not that power. Again, his focus is on chest and tries, not, leg day. So he's sitting at 80 out of 350. His luck, 200 out of 350. Grave Clobber in this, the reason I like this background story, as I've referenced in a few others, it explains what's happened, it explains any changes, and it does a satisfactory job for me. Let's see what you think of it. Grave Clobber was once a great pharaoh who ruled the Golden Desert. Sound familiar? Golden Desert, right? Thinking Golden Queen. Long ago. That was until his 7 jealous brothers buried him in an underwater tomb while he was sleeping. But the remaining brothers still fought among themselves, and their infighting ultimately led to the kingdom falling apart and the family name being lost forever. Almost. Because Grave Clobber eventually rose from his watery grave, and when he discovered what his brothers had done to the kingdom, he hunted each of them down and clobbered them, as you might imagine. This was how he came to the attention of the Golden Queen, who now ruled the desert herself. She recruited Grave Clobber into her gang of Doom Raiders, but when the Skylanders defeated them once and for all, Master Eon thought that perhaps there was more to this mummy than meets the eye. He gave the old pharaoh a chance for redemption, and since nobody clobbered better than Grave Clobber, he was the perfect choice to be a sensei for the Brawler class. I think a lot of people, when we first saw this bio, I believe it was back in the Imaginator app when that kind of launched out. You came in, you unlocked him, you could kind of speed through it. I think everybody was like, oh, that's why he's water. Hey, that works. I don't really have any qualms there. To me, honestly, even though I'm a big Earth Element guy, and that's where he began, if you will, I still kind of see him as undead as well. So he's got a little bit of a hybrid there, Earth and undead to me. I could see it going either way, but I will accept him as water. You can kind of just assume whatever you want about being in the underwater tomb. Maybe that's where he got his powers. Maybe that's where he drew his inspiration. Whatever it may be, it works. And most importantly, because of that, we get to have almost a color-coordinated base that makes the figure look that much better. I will say, I think an undead base would have looked amazing on this. Earth Element base, possibly, but I don't think it would look good as water or undead. But this is Grave Clobber. He's available now. I've not honestly seen him anywhere else. Toys R Us, to the best of my knowledge, is the only place that has him. I know Target did not. I've been in there recently. GameStop, I frequent those as well. Have not seen him there. Should eventually hit all retailers, but right now, if you want him, Toys R Us is your best bet. I'd say as early as next week we might have a sale. If you're holding out, maybe you need chain reaction, maybe you've got some older characters you're still looking to pick up. Take advantage of the sales whenever you can, because they are pretty dadgum often, particularly across all retailers. But right now this guy's probably commanding a premium online through scalpers. But if you got a Toys R Us nearby, or you can check it online from time to time, you can probably land him for retail. And again, if money's tight, hold out for a sale. But again, my logic was, he's awesome. I definitely wanted him, didn't want to miss out. And most likely, I'm going to wind up with a situation where I need 2 characters for a sale at some retailer, and that would be the 2 Easter characters. So did not pick those up. I'm going to wait until they go on sale. If I miss them, I miss them. And I will tell you this. I had some questions I shot off to PR. And one of them, this is something that's bothered me greatly, was, do you have any idea if we're ever going to get to see a single pack, a proper single pack release of standard Chompy Mage? Typical response, see what I can find out. If I hear anything back and I'm allowed to tell people about it, I will definitely be doing so. I kind of led into it, you know, like, I would be fine with him holding Chompy Mage away from us if perhaps he was going to turn out to be like an October surprise release with, hey, look, a new level for your game. Will that happen? I don't know. Will he even be released again? I have no clue. But here in the US, the only way you could have gotten him was through the Amazon. I think it was 5 villains right there at launch. I didn't do that because Activision sent out everything except Chompy Mage, and so money's kind of tight. I'm like, why would I buy that? I kind of wanted 2 of several of the villains, I'm not going to lie. But I was like, man, I don't really want to go shell out for that. He's yet to surface in single pack form. In fact, Jingle Bell Chompy Mage has been somewhat difficult to track down, so if you really want the Easters, if that's like your favorite color scheme, or it's something that you're big, give it to your kids, your niece, your nephew, grandparents, whoever it may be that plays Skylanders. First chance you get to pick them up on a sale, take advantage of it, because we don't have any clue what the future holds, whether they'll be readily available, whether there will be none of them, whether this is the only batch or rounds we'll see. I would assume since they are out now, they're going to hit all retailers. They'll probably be out in force, but hey, I could totally be wrong there. But let me know your thoughts on Chompy Mage. Don't you think he would lend himself quite well to a future expansion? I kind of do. That's sort of, I try to maintain, a lot of people are like, oh no, we missed him. If you didn't buy the Villain Sensei pack, you're never going to have him unless you pay $200. That's like what 60 to 75, probably more % of the people want to say and truly believe. And then I try to kind of stay a little bit more optimistic, like, hey, maybe they're holding him back for a surprise release this September or October with a brand new adventure pack. And, I don't know, it gives me something to look forward to, whether it's true or not. So let me know if you think that would be a good idea, because I definitely do. I think this guy would have lend himself very, very well to a adventure pack of his own. But he looks amazing. Again, Toys R Us, $15.99. If you can hold out, you can monitor them, wait for a sale. But otherwise, hey, do what you got to do if you want them. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. waterwisdom.com. Make sure you follow me on Twitch and Beam. Those are the 2 places that I will stream, particularly with Skylanders on Twitch. All of the gameplay is live streamed, and then I export it to YouTube. Skylanders research and introductions I record off camera and then upload directly, so they're a higher quality video for you. Again, my internet is not fantastic, so the stream kinda, isn't ideal, but hey, the important stuff, the Skylanders research, that will always be in a crystal clear HD for you. But waterwisdom.com, skylanderclub.com, mindlogics.net. Check them all out if you're a big Portal Master. Skylanderclub.com got a lot of polls. We'd love to have you join us. Free to register. I run the site. It's not some corporate third-party thing, so built it for people like yourself. Take advantage of it. That said, my nose is running, and I'm going to try to get off of here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you back here later.